computer. Here we go. All right, here we go. A quick-ish social media training for Drexel and whoever else watches the recording. I titled this "Do It for the Gram" just because that's a really funny thing. If you're watching this and you do not know who I am, my name is Hannah McLeod. You can find me on Instagram at hannah.mcleod.fit, and you should be able to get to know me through there because that really is what our social media platforms are, is a way for people to get to know us if they don't already. So for those of you who are still maybe in this, like, why should I use social media? Like, what is the point? All of that stuff, why it matters. So I have had people ask, like, do I have to use social media? Can I do it other ways? And it's like, you can, but social media is a free platform that you might as well use because people are on it. Most likely you are on it. You don't have to be on it necessarily more. You just need to be tweaking how you're using it to be a little bit more intentional with your time on there. Using it for coaching is not meant to make you like suddenly locked to your phone and always on Instagram. It's just doing it smarter. So it's a free platform that reaches beyond what you may expect to say yes. So I remember when I first started, I had a list in my head of different friends that I thought would want to do this with me. And maybe like one or two within the first few months did. And the rest were like, oh, no, I'm okay. But then people came out of the woodwork from high school, from college, my husband's friends. Like, just because I was showing up and sharing what I was doing, you never know who is watching and who needs something like this right now when you put it out there. And it's also how you can never run out of people to talk to because you can expand your network. There are billions of people out there, and social media is the way that you can connect with them so you don't feel tied to just like, I only have a couple close friends and that's it. It's how you can find other people like you that you want to do this with. Like I said, people are on it. Give them a good reason to be. There's a lot of toxic stuff out there, so be a light on it. And also, actions speak louder than words. So show what you're doing. Don't just like be a bunch of talk. Social media is the way that you can really, really share your heart and show that you're putting in the actions behind everything that you're doing. People will be able to see you changing, not just physically, but also mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, all of the things. I know that was one thing that really attracted me to my coach is as I was watching her over the course of like a year and a half, I could see a lot of change, not just physically, because she only had like 5 or 10 pounds to lose, but I could see a lot changing in her life, how she was talking, like her confidence, money, all of that stuff. So I saw the actions that backed up what she was saying. And social media is a way that people will get to know you and then like you and then trust you. And if they trust you, they're going to trust what you're doing and want to try it too. Because if you say this is great, they're going to be like, okay, I trust her. I'm going to try this. Because we do that, with restaurants, with all sorts of other things that we don't get paid for. And then as soon as we, get a commission for things, lots of times like, oh, now I can't recommend it. No, you can recommend it just like you recommend anything else. And it's great that we kind of like get a kickback from it. So pick your platform. There's not necessarily a correct answer to this, but I think it's important to pick either Instagram or Facebook and really let one of them be your focus. Where are you already hanging out most, and where are your people hanging out most? For me, that's Instagram. Facebook, I only really use it to remind me of birthdays and for the groups. Like, obviously, I use the groups a ton for coaching, but other than that, I let my Instagram automatically post to Facebook, and that's about it. I don't worry about the likes, the comments. I mean, if I have like a really great post, maybe I'll like go back through every once in a while, but my focus really is over on Instagram. This also helps if all of your conversations are pretty much in one platform. Cause I remember at the beginning, I was trying to do both. And then it was really confusing of like, oh, did I already invite someone over on Facebook? Oh, what did they say? Cause now I'm talking to them on Instagram. And it got really confusing really, really fast. So I try to just keep everything for myself over on Instagram. It's what I recommend just because I think more people are on there. It's more about, pictures and connecting with people you don't necessarily know and things like reels and all that stuff. I think Instagram is just better. But personal opinion, if you prefer Facebook, great. But I would say choose one. Allow them to cross post if you're using Instagram. And then there are other platforms, of course, like um, TikTok, Pinterest, YouTube, LinkedIn. Know that those, of course, are there, but don't like waste your time using them if you haven't really fully felt comfortable and dove into the other ones and feel like you've not exhausted your resources, because you're never going to exhaust it, but once you get to a point where you're like, okay, maybe I can add in something else, then you can try to play with some of those other ones. But I would say don't worry about them until you feel like you're really in a groove with the others. How to find your people. So my favorite way to like expand my network and find other people who I feel like I would connect with is friends of friends. I don't really search hashtags or places. That's an option, but I have found that if I have a friend, or maybe I find someone and I'm like, oh, this person would be my people, most likely their friends would also be my people. And that's just kind of how I keep going. So I end up like friends with all these like networks and pockets of people. And that's also helpful because if one of them does join me, then it gives me more credibility in the rest of their circle. Obviously, I'm not going after friends of people who are coaches on my team. I'm because hopefully they'll join them, right? So I'm not trying to like poach anyone, but people who have not become coaches on my teams, that's I'm like searching through their friends, whether they like whether my friend posts like a birthday thing or something big happens in their life, I look at who's commenting on their stuff. I don't just go through their friends list. I actually care about their friends who are active on social media. Because if they're not going to comment on their friends' stuff, they're not going to comment on my stuff. And then I utilize people's bios a ton. I don't care if their profile is public or private. You can always see their bio. And I look for something about faith typically, because that is the team that I personally am trying to build. That's important to me. And if someone mentions faith in their bio, I know it's probably important to them. And so that's one way for me to like kind of weed out people. Obviously, I might be missing people, but that's okay. It's been really helpful for me to have like that one key point. And obviously, it's in my bio as well. You can do things like joining with others for giveaways and collabs. Obviously, that takes more money and effort. I've done it. I've never seen like a huge growth or anything from it, but it's always something that you can try out. And I think it does help you gain a little bit of trust with the person that you or people you do collab or do the giveaway with, because you and them like that usually ends up being what happens is the person that I do the giveaway with, then they buy something from me because I'll often buy something from them. Don't feel like it's weird to friend people you don't know, especially on Instagram. Like that's just the way that the world works these days. It's totally fine to make friends online. And then if you're over on Facebook, I look, maybe if I have like 30 or more friends in common, that's when I'll start to like friend people that way. Other thing is give it time and take it past social media if you can. Whether that's meeting people in person, doing local events, whatever it may be, and be authentically you when you're on social media. Um, the basics of Instagram right now at this point in time, there's reels, stories, and posts. So reels are awesome because when you post a reel, Instagram will show it to people who are not connected to you at all, through people's explore pages. I mean, they can happen on posts, but it happens more on reels because it's a current algorithm favorite. They can be funny, serious, helpful, anything. And they're just a great thing to dive into. If you need to learn more about how to make those, we can like go over that because that's a whole other topic. Um, Stories, they really let people into the reality of your world. They peel back the curtain. They say, here is my house. Like, I am in a spare bedroom right now. This would be something that I would have no problem sharing with on my stories. I don't feel like I have to clean up or do anything because I want to let people in on my real life and not portray it as something that it's not. Obviously, it's nice to put filters on stuff to make it pretty, um, but not to make it seem fake, right? It's more like food or a bottle of water does look better if you put a filter on it. I'm not trying to make people think that my life is always perfect or whatever. So tell the story of your days in life and do it with a smile. This is one of the biggest things when coaches start is, especially if they're talking, they'll be here and they'll just talk like this and say, okay, so now I have this. What you need to remember is someone who is watching it, they're watching as if they're FaceTiming you. And if you're FaceTiming with someone and they're talking to you saying you should try something in a monotonous tone, not excited at all, you'd be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, do you actually want me to do this? Like, are you reading a script? What's going on? So even if it's weird for you at the beginning to be recording yourself, pretend you're FaceTiming with a bestie on the other line. Be excited, be happy, smile. Um, And the beauty of it is you can do multiple takes if you're like, oh, that was kind of weird, but also don't be so hard on yourself. You're doing great. Okay. um, and then the final thing on stories, Beachbody should be throughout it, because hopefully Beachbody's throughout your day, whether that's what you're choosing to eat, Shakeology, doing a workout, personal development, or just general mindset, how you're going about your day, thinking about things. So it's all throughout it, but you are still the focus, okay? Not the products, not a group, you. And you're just showing how it's being incorporated into your life. And if you feel like your life is boring, show that, okay? Because the people who are watching you have very similar lives to you. If you're like, oh, my day is so mundane, so is theirs. They need to see how it works in your life, because then that's going to show them how it's going to work in their life. We're all eating. You can show a meal. We're all, like working out. Show your space. Do a time lapse. I do a time lapse every day of my workout and post something along with mindset that they might not know. And then finally, posts are obviously a bit more concrete thoughts and things you want to stick around. I have been lately doing prompts for my team, but honestly, just take a quote that you've been hearing, reading, listening to, whatever, and just use that as a prompt, or talk about the person that you were before. Um, and I say it right here, post for the women you were before Beachbody, who will watch you for a year without saying a thing. So think of that woman. What were her pain points? What was she scared of? What was she looking forward to? What did she hope for? All that stuff, and speak to her. Okay. Tell her what your fears were, this, that, and the other, and do it regardless of if she likes or comments. Because, like I said, I watched my coach for a long time, months and months and months, without liking a single one of her posts on purpose. I didn't want her to know that I was watching her. And then finally, I ordered something small, got on her radar, and then I still watched for another year and a half, saying, no, thank you, not right now, before I actually dove in. So, don't feel like if no one is liking or commenting or taking your polls or whatever, they're still watching you, and still keep talking to them, and do it over and over and over, telling all these things about your story. Obviously, you're not going to tell the exact same story, but our story is so complex, who we were, who we are, who we want to be, and pieces of that. Keep telling different pieces over and over again, even if you told it before, until you feel like everyone of your friends and the people that don't know you, they could tell it themselves. So if they were telling a friend like, "Oh, my friend's a Beachbody coach. This is where she started. This is where she wants to go." Like, everyone should be able to tell your story, and know that not everyone sees your posts every day. Often it takes 7 times, for someone to see or hear something before it really sinks in. So yes, keep telling your story in different ways, from different angles, but just keep throwing it out there. And then for like newer coaches, I've been having mine do at least 3 posts a week. One is a reel, just to kind of like get things out there. Like I said, it could be anything funny, serious, helpful, tip, whatever. Something about Beachbody or coaching. Obviously, the point is still you, but like, what was a fear you had? What is a goal you have? What does the community mean to you? Something related to Beachbody or coaching. And then one that's straight up mindset. This is a great one to find a quote and then just kind of go off of it. Um, and use other coaches as inspiration, but not as your ideal, and not as your benchmark of like, am I failing? Okay. That's both with how many followers they have, how many likes they get, what they do. I personally, if a coach like does a really great post, I'm like, wow, I could not have said that better myself. I will like copy it, change it to sound a little bit more like me if there's anything to change, and I'll use it myself. If I feel weird about it, I will ask her if I can do that. But know that if you see anything of mine that you like, you have my blanket permission to use it. I don't care. I think it's a form of flattery that I said something that really resonated with people. So feel free to use my stuff, but don't use it if it doesn't resonate with you, and if you don't feel like you could have said it better yourself. Because just because I said something that got a lot of likes or comments doesn't mean your people need to hear that same thing. Next. So these are just some scripts. You can take a screenshot real quick if you really want to. This is just ways for me to get conversations started that I've used in the past. So the top one is more if I connected with someone that I don't know, and maybe have been connected with for a long time, because maybe I added them like a year ago and we've never talked and they don't really post the stories. I'm like, I don't know how to like randomly start a conversation. this is something great. Just saying, I'm trying to be more intentional. And we've never chatted. So ask them something that's more than a yes or no question, but like, what's something that brings you joy recently? Um, if someone follows me and I'm like, oh, I really like this girl, and I follow her back, I'll send that second one. And then I will often take, the Facebook reminder, but I'll take it over to Instagram and wish them a happy birthday over there to keep conversations over there. General tips: one, action is always best. I think a lot of new coaches, especially, but also older coaches, get very paralyzed by the amount of information, the amount of options out there. So when you find a reel sound that you really like, try to use it that day or the next day. If you found a quote that you heard or read or whatever, try to use it within 48 hours. Because if you write it down and never use it, what good did it do, right? Like, write it down so that you can use it right away. And then you're constantly going to have things that you can actually use, and not just this like, wow, now I have 50 quotes that I never used, or I have 100 real sounds and I don't even know what they were, right? Use them right away, just like small action steps, one at a time. Focus on quality over quantity. This, especially for Instagram, is like the newer thing. Back in the day when I started, they said that you should be posting, like posting, not just in stories, but posting 3 times a day. It was a lot. That's not the case anymore. Like, even if you don't post every day in posts or reels, that's fine. I do think you should be posting to your stories every day. Um, but posts themselves, just focus on quality over quantity. Maybe aim for 3 a week. Showing life and sharing tips. Tips are always great because they're more like shareable content, right? Um, and then live your life. Get the content and post when you can. So this is a really, really big one because a lot of people are afraid to be glued to their phones. So like, I will, always do something in the morning that has to do with my morning routine, whether it's my quiet time, a green shot, energize, whatever. And I'll show something with that. I'll always show part of my workout. Later on the day, I'll always show something with my son. But I don't always post those things right after I take the picture or right after I take the video, because I don't have time, right? Like, I only have so long in these certain times. So take the picture, take the video, and then when you do have time, then you can actually post it. This is also great if you're like at an event or something. Um, be at the event or be at, dinner with your spouse or with your family. You can take a quick picture. I often ask my husband, just because he doesn't like social media, honestly, but I'm like, hey, can I take a picture of you real quick, or us, or food, whatever? He always says yes, because he likes just being involved. Take the picture, but I don't post it right then because I have it for later when I get home and my son's in bed, then I can post it. And then personally, and what I recommend, stay off social media completely on Sundays. And actually, the algorithm lately is saying this can be a great way to reboost your engagement, is to take a full 24 hours off. But our world, it's no like surprise, we're addicted to our phones. We're addicted to social media. And I do not want that for myself. I do not want that for you or anyone. So I have made it a habit in the last like year plus to just stay off social media on Sundays. Obviously, I make a few exceptions. That's fine. It's not like I'm trying to whatever, but it's been the most refreshing thing ever to just have a day off and then get back to it on Monday. And then the final tip, be the hype girl. So if someone posts something big, whether that is like, hey, it's my birthday, I love my birthday, they got a puppy, they are announcing an engagement, pregnancy, they have the baby, whatever. Of course, you can like and comment the post, but get in their DMs and celebrate with them and ask a question, because they are going to get a ton of comments. And if you're just one of 20, 50, 200 comments, they're not going to actually like register that you commented, but they will register if you are the one that gets in their DM and says, oh my goodness, congratulations on your engagement. Your ring is freaking fantastic and gorgeous. Maybe like, did you help pick it out? Or you can say, did you know he was going to surprise you? Stuff like that. People love to talk about themselves. So ask a question, celebrate with them, and do that. And then, yeah, put a smile on the faces of those who watch you. A few goals you should have is, if someone has never met you and they meet you in real life, to say, I feel like I already know you. Okay. The first way they're going to do this is if you actually talk in your stories, which might be uncomfortable for you right now, but you will get more comfortable with it, because people aren't going to know you unless they can hear your voice. That's just the way it is. Be real. And like I said, show both the fun, but also show the mundane, so they actually feel like they know what you do during your day. A lot of my coaches, I honestly, I don't know what they do for work. I don't know what they normally eat. I don't know what their houses look like. And that's a problem because I should know those things because those should be in their stories. If I were to watch their story every day for a week, I should get a pretty good feel for what their day is like. And if I watch your story and I don't know those things, maybe you need to do a little more, switch it up, right? Show me those things. Goal, give a look into your life and where you want to go. This is also a great one for new coaches. Okay, so maybe you aren't at your goal, whether that's goal weight, goal life, goal whatever, but you don't have to be there to show where you want to go. Whether that's using other people's stories of saying, "Oh, my friend like did this and I can't wait," or "Oh, I'm going to go on this trip next summer and I can't wait," or "Hey, I would love to be able to do X, Y, and Z." And I know not everyone can actually say all their goals. When I first started, my real goal was to quit my job and be a stay-at-home mom. But I had people at work who followed me on social media. I could not put that out there because I did not want them knowing that my eventual goal was to quit. But I could still say things like having time freedom. I want the community. You can still say that you want to do stuff and that you are working towards getting there. People want to see that you're on the path. I personally signed up with my coach because she was very clearly on the path. She was like, I want this. I'm going to be here long term. I want to teach you how. And I decided to sign up with her over a friend that was in my church Bible study who had signed up as a coach because this friend, even though we were actually closer friends, she was just in it for the community. She didn't need the money. She was kind of wishy washy and just kind of like, I'll do this for now. And I was like, okay, that's great. And I support you and stuff, but I want to be with someone who's going somewhere. And then she totally understood that. So even though I wasn't even that great of friends with my coach that I signed up with, like I went somewhere because she was on the path that I wanted to go. Even if I didn't follow her exactly the way she did it, I knew I wanted that guidance. And use Instagram consistently, but not obsessively. This kind of goes back to what I was saying before. Don't be so distracted posting about your life and watching others' lives that you forget to enjoy it. So, a few things with this. One, what I try to do is I don't scroll anymore. If I'm not commenting on people's stories or posts, my rule for myself is I have to get off because it's so easy to just scroll, double tap, and then you just wasted however long, right? Be on there to connect and create, but not just consume, because that's also just not healthy for you and it's a big waste of time. And then the other thing with that, with social media, but other things, if you are allowing your phone to notify you, turn those notifications off right now. The only thing that I get notifications for now are calls and text messages. I used to have Messenger, but actually it like turned itself off and I can't figure out how to turn it back on. And I'm actually fine with that. So I get no notifications for Facebook or Instagram or anything because I will get back to people when I want to get back to people and when it's convenient for me. I don't want to feel like it's running my life because that's just not great. So my questions for you to be kind of thinking about: one, what would I currently know about you if I went to your page? What do you want people to know you for on social media? And this one, like, don't worry about it if you don't feel like you have a big thing. Like for me, faith is a big thing. Parenting is a thing. I love marriage and I will fight for my marriage. And I think that's super important. Like that's a thing. But I think people know me kind of for Beachbody, faith, encouragement. That's what I believe people know me for. But like think about those things. Like what do you want people to know you for? And then make sure that you are posting that kind of stuff. Okay. And know that it does not always have to be like Beachbody doesn't have to be in everything. It shouldn't be in everything. Like give other people just like life lessons. Another thing to ask yourself, could this thought or story help someone? And would the awkwardness be worth it if you changed one life? So it can be awkward to reach out to someone for the first time, invite them to do something with you because you have no idea what they're going to say. That could be awkward, but is it worth it if it would change their life? The answer in my mind is yes, but you have to ask yourself that. Would it be worth it for this awkwardness of like talking in the video because I'm really uncomfortable talking in my phone? Would that be worth it if you change a life? If yes, do it. And finally, also like the flip side of that, will the world end if blank? If they don't respond, called ghosting. If they say no, if they were to actually be someone who makes a mean comment, more often than not, like 99.5% of the time, if you put something out there like a transformation post that you are very nervous about because you're like, I really don't like the before and the after still is like, it's better, but not great. You will find you are going to be met with so much love and support if you are just being honest and vulnerable. Sure, there is the 0.5% of like a random person on Instagram that you probably don't even know might make a mean comment. But honestly, like you are going to get so much more love and the world will keep on turning even if you get a mean comment. I promise you that. So yeah, that is what I have. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Drexel, how did I do?
It was fabulous. It was great. It really was. Thank you.
Yeah. Do you have any questions? I know you didn't beforehand, but now that I've
No, now I've taken all that in, and I've been doing this for years too. And when I started, it was 3 to 5 posts a day, and it was totally overwhelming and killer. And now it's like 3 to 5 a week. What? Yeah, but I've been, and it keeps changing. So you have to keep rolling with it and not worry. Like I just found out, supposedly, that when you do reels, if you don't post them to your grid, they do better. And you're just like, what? So I tried it and I'm like, okay, that was like the best performing reel. Yeah. So you just have to keep rolling with it. But that last slide I really like. So I took pictures.
Okay.
And so I will definitely follow up on those questions. Like, do you know what my house looks like? Like, I remember when I started following you, I knew every color of every room. And that's how I like related, because you can see I'm all about the color too.
Yeah.
And I know people see my workout space changed. It used to be red and then it turned green. And they always see me on my calls, orange in the background. But would they recognize my kitchen? I know I used to do that more. I used to do my shakes and my morning energize. But yeah, so it's all good stuff to cycle back to.
Yeah. And the other thing that I just realized on Maya's team call when I did this, a question that I had was like, how do I come up with content? And I was like, that was a really good question. So I'm just going to chat through that real quick. So I come up with content, one, by watching other people. Two, a lot of times it really is quotes and stuff that I have. But three, since I do have, especially for my stories and stuff, since I have that consistency of knowing like, I'm going to post something about my energize or my morning routine. I'm going to post something about my workout. Not only does it give other people that consistency of watching me, knowing that like she's taking these supplements consistently, she is working out no matter what. For those of you who don't know, I'm currently 27 weeks pregnant. I'm still working out 5 times a week. The programs I'm doing are different, not doing 80-day obsession, that's for sure. But like I'm still showing up and doing all this stuff. So not only does it give them the like consistency there, but it also makes it so much easier on me to know like, oh, what should I do today? I know I'm going to do a time lapse of my workout. I don't even have to think about it. It's just a matter of like, what angle do I want to get today? Do I want to put my phone over here or do I want to put my phone over here? I mean, that's like the biggest decision that I have to make. And then what music to put in the background. But that's pretty much how I come up with content, and I don't stress about it because you're going to put something up the next day or put something up and the next day you have a chance to do it all over again, right? So I think a lot of people are like, I have to get it perfect. I have to say it just right. You do
not. That's it. Right now, it's posting the real stuff. And I think you were kind of talking about it. I've always learned it as kind of like your 5 pillars, the things about you that are the big things. So you were talking about faith and being a mom, and that's the things. You just need to identify them. Like I believe that most people would know my things if they look, but I'm going to go double check.
Yeah, right. It's like you assume you do, and then you go back and you're like,
oh, haven't talked about that in a while.
Right? Like even me, like 5 years in, I'm like, I haven't showed a picture of my husband in a while or even mentioned that I'm married. Like, hopefully get that, but like, that's so
but people could start wondering. You don't know.
You don't know, right? Like in the pandemic, crazy things happen, but nothing crazy.
Exactly. Yeah. But you don't know because they're not there and you think you're sharing. But yeah, so I think it's good to always kind of do an audit on yourself. Like maybe it's just a thing. Like, let's look back at the last month and say, did I do? What can I do next month?
And it's so true, especially because you're going to have new people coming to your page. Because if you're trying to friend request on Instagram, but if you go follow someone, the first thing they're going to do is be like, who is this person? They're going to look at your bio. They might watch your stories real fast. And they'll probably just look at the picture, like the first few pictures that you have. They probably won't even click into them. And they're going to judge you within 10 seconds of that.
Oh,
So it's
yeah.
like, for them, it needs to be fresh. Oh, something else that I thought of that a lot of people don't do in stories, make sure that if someone were to listen to it without sound,
Yes.
it's still engaging to them. Whether you use the caption thing that you can put on your stories that will take the words that you're saying and just put them up, or if you have time, like to type out kind of the general thing that you were talking about. This is also great for like if you're sharing someone else's like Energize reel, maybe they made something, tagged you, you can put your own thoughts over the top of it so that they're not just watching someone else's something that maybe doesn't make sense to them. Like type your own stuff and keep it engaging that way, because I don't remember the exact stat, but it is a very large statistic of people who watch stories with no sound. And I know I'm like half of the time there, because
most of the time, unless there's some reason to listen to it, I'll turn the sound on.
Yeah.
But you also realize you're doing other things. I've got family. Just don't.
Yeah. And if someone has a million sides of them talking with nothing over the top, I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah, peace out.
Yeah, so that's another thing. And then the final one, and then this is starting to get long, so we're gonna wrap it up. Is no, I mean, I'm the one who like did all the talking. In your stories, a lot of my tips really are stories, because I think that's where the gold happens. That's where people get to know you. I also like to switch it up between pictures, boomerangs, videos of me talking. If you just have like a bunch of pictures and that's it, people, they get bored, they don't feel like they're connecting with it. You know, you can be sharing other quotes and things from, you know, other influencers you like, but I would limit that to one a day. Just as like, I love when people post a quote, but if they have like 5 in a row, I'm like, okay, like where's you? Where's your voice? What's your story? You're just like reposting a million things that everyone else said. What do you have to say? So like share other people's stuff, but don't let that be the only thing that you're doing. And yeah, almost, maybe not every single day, but most days I will go back and rewatch my story, be like, what story did I tell today? What did I show? And was it interesting? If I'm bored by it, other people are probably bored by it as well. And do a variety of no sound, music on the top, what the actual sound in the background was, you know, like Jack might be screaming, but hey, that's my life, that's okay. But sometimes I'm like, no, I really want this to just be something else. So those are my tips. If you have any questions watching this recording, reach out to me. Once again, if you don't know me, you can find me on Instagram at hannah.mcleod.fit. That's where I hang out, except for on Sundays. And yeah, all right. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you. Yeah.